So, with your background in healthcare stocks, I know that that's one area of the stock market that has interested you. How do you feel that has, we'll say, given you an edge over other investors? Because healthcare in particular is an incredibly complex industry. I know some of the largest US companies in particular are healthcare stocks, but it's murky waters for someone who doesn't know well enough, I'd imagine.
Absolutely. Healthcare is, I think something like 17 or 18% of the GDP of the United States, and it's an absolutely massive industry, and it's extremely complex. But there are hundreds of billions, if not, there's probably trillions of dollars at this point that are spent on healthcare every year in the United States. So it's just a massive market. Now, my interest in healthcare or my expertise in healthcare really came as a direct result of the job that I had. As I said, when I graduated from college, I was working for a startup medical device company. And when I joined that company, we were pre FDA approval. So no revenue, no product on the market. We were just in the R&D stage. And soon after I joined, we did get FDA approval. And about a year into my employment, we launched the product to the market. My initial role with them was in marketing department. So I was in charge of making brochures, the website, the user guide, all kinds of labeling and stuff like that related to marketing. But after a year, I switched over to being on the sales team, and that was a wonderful decision from both a career and an education perspective, because I saw firsthand just how complicated the United States healthcare market was, and more importantly, from a investing perspective, just how loyal healthcare providers are to certain products or services, and how difficult it can get them to be to change their habits. So I was in the sales for this company for just about 10 years, and it was my job to go out to healthcare providers and convince them to stop using a device that they'd used for a decade or more and to start using my devices. And I learned firsthand just how high the switching costs are in the medical device industry. And if you look back at history, the medical device industry can be, it has been historically a pretty good place to put capital. The margins are very high. The spending is essentially recession proof, because nobody's going to not get a medical procedure done just because the economy is doing bad. The switching costs are pretty high, and those factors generally lead to high returns on capital for medical device companies, and in turn, pretty good stock returns. So I'd invested in companies like Dexcom, Intuitive Surgical, and the likes, and those companies have been phenomenal long-term holdings. So when I started to become a writer for the Motley Fool in 2015, naturally they said, "Well, how about you focus on the healthcare industry, since you have some background in it?" So I started studying insurance companies in more detail, hospitals in more detail, and of course medical device companies as well.
Yeah, and it feeds into the Warren Buffett concept of circular competence. You know, you can legitimately say you have an edge there because of that experience and because of being in the room and seeing those switching costs and the barriers to entry for a smaller company like yourself. And that goes into any investor listening. If you are in your 9 to 5 and you have that advantage, informational advantage or operational advantage or whatever it is, if you work in a cybersecurity company, you know that industry better, and that's where you can really get an edge. And that's what Warren Buffett is saying with that circle of competence theory. So that's great. And it's great to hear it in action, I suppose, and how it dictated your investing career.